Hello and welcome to Barely Afraid. Tonight, we dive into one of the most intimidating and aggressive cryptids ever reported. The Dogman. Crashing in, we travel across the oceans to the country of Germany and land on a nature trail inside the woods near the outskirts of Wittlich. It's important to mention that this specific forest trail has a nickname. That nickname is none other than the Devil's Path. And if that wasn't enough, these woods are known to be haunted. This photo was originally captured by a game camera on August 4th of 2025. Upon initial review, the owner of the camera was shocked as they had unintentionally captured the very figure that many people only deemed a legend. Looking closely at the supposed Dogman, you can clearly see the sharp canine-like teeth, perked ears, and thick dark coat of fur. Going down the body, you can see what appears to be a skinny waist and defined legs. Once this picture made it online, not surprisingly, it started off a heated debate between cryptid believers and skeptics. To start off the great debate of real or hoax, Dogman believers point out the obvious fact of the image, that being that the dark cryptid is standing on two legs, something that is extremely common in Dogman sightings. They also point out the smaller appearance of the legs compared to the whole entirety of the body. To believers, this is the basic anatomy of a Dogman, and even how normal dogs look when they stand on their hind legs. However, skeptics were very fast to issue their answer. The skeptics settle on the human-like resemblance of the large canine's hands. They point out that there is a very noticeable lack of claws or nails that a Dogman is usually depicted to have. After all, most images that circulate around the internet, as well as are found in more ancient text, always depict Dogman to have huge animalistic claws that are capable of ripping an enemy or prey to shreds. This Dogman's hands appear to lack this characteristic, which then leads to the skeptic's next rebuttal. Fur. While the picture is a little too fuzzy to make out any real detail in the fur, it's at this point of the wrist that leads skeptics to claim that this is simply a man in a costume. Traveling up the arm, they highlight the lack of definition in the arm as well, thus strengthening their stance on cheap costume rather than legit sighting. While many people online debate whether this is real or not, there is another debate on whether or not this is actually a Dogman or actually a werewolf. It is true that just like Bigfoot and all their variants, Dogman also have variants or cousins, if you will, all over the world. Werewolves are one of them. Whether or not this is a Dogman or werewolf, we here at Barely Afraid offer up this question to you. Is this real? Only you can decide. Soaring in, we arrive at a series of pictures that have begun to take the world of cryptid believers by storm. Taken in Wexford County, Michigan, you can see a large Dogman-like figure that appears to be marking a pine tree right beside a small body of water. Using its large claws, it continuously scratches the tree as if to mark it for some unknown reason. Many have speculated online that perhaps this Dogman is new to this area and is marking the tree as a guide to better navigate the area. While this theory could be true, there is still an unanswered question. Is this sighting true? Of course, with such great pictures, it wasn't long before a video appeared to go along with the incredible sighting. However, rather than add credibility to the sighting, the video seems to hurt it.
Oh my God, it's really doing it. Nobody's gonna believe this. People will just say it's AI or something. Look at those claws. It's standing up like a person. I can't believe this. Keep it steady, steady. No one will believe me. They're all gonna think it's fake.
Mainly at this point, you see a blurred out section thought to be an AI company's watermark. And of course there's the voiceover that states it's not AI. But let's be honest, all that really does is make you believe it's AI. At first, skeptics took this chance to rest easy as they were sure they'd won this battle. But what came next was a true the chicken or the egg type of debate. While skeptics claim the AI video disproves the sighting, believers claim the pictures came before the sighting and that the AI video was made afterwards. Believers also point out that the state of Michigan, where the sighting was captured, is one of the biggest hotspots in North America, with sightings dating back all the way to the late 1800s. Going into the actual breakdown of the Dogman, you can notice a darker part of fur on the Dogman's middle back, and a long tail with defined legs that seem capable of allowing this creature to stand on two legs or walk around on all four. With neither side willing to give up the victory, we are left here to debate amongst ourselves. Is this a clever trick of AI that has been produced to fool us? Is this a Dogman that is new to the area and is inventing his own natural GPS system? Or quite shockingly, could this be both? We'll leave that conclusion up to you. Falling in, we travel back in time to yet another trail camera picture that began to gain traction in late 2024. Taken in the field of a remote wooded property, this image appears to have captured a dogman or dog-like creature, growling toward either the camera or something right beside it. Zooming in, you can see the thick coat of fur this creature has as well as the canine facial features it possesses. However, it is the look of feral intent in the eyes that sells the credibility of this sighting to most people online. In the photo, the figure appears to be on all fours, which isn't uncommon for dogmen as they're able to walk upright as well as walk on all fours like a literal dog. However, one person online believes that this dogman wasn't walking on all fours, but rather beginning to stand up. If you look at its posture, it does seem to either be rising or lowering down to the ground. Either way, both actions can be looked at as a sign of aggression or intimidation to something else close by. Most believers give this the sign of approval, saying that this wolf-like creature is the truest definition of a dogman they've ever seen. For most skeptics, they simply say there's just not enough data for them to make an educated conclusion. Their best claim of hoax seems to be that this is taxidermy or a costume. For some people who are caught on the fence, they choose to wonder out loud what the supposed dogman might be growling at. Could it be another cryptid? Or is the dogman growling at the presence of human technology on its territory? In some circles, there are people who believe dogman aren't just another undiscovered species. No, to them, they align dogman with other supernatural concepts and beliefs. Many people attribute dogman to be the natural enemy of another cryptid you and us here at Barely Afraid love to talk about. That cryptid being the one and only Mr. Big themselves, Bigfoot. In this theory, both are thought to be interdimensional beings from another dimension. While Mr. Big is usually thought to be some kind of spiritual guardian of nature that watches the wilderness as well as the humans of the earth with a rather curious, intelligent approach, dogmen are described to be extremely aggressive and hostile. Rather than watch or observe, a dogman is thought to always choose the hunt, if you will. To some, both creatures are the literal live representation of good versus evil. However, there are other theories interlinking the two famous cryptids. One being that dogman isn't a natural enemy of Bigfoot, but rather their best friends, or in other words, their pets. While we use the term pet a bit loosely here, it's believed in this theory that while Bigfoot is a watcher of the world and all of the things around it, dogman are the species that enforces or executes any orders that a Bigfoot might give it. Many people who report dogman encounters or attacks claim that they had the feeling of being watched beforehand. This aligns with our friend Mr. Big. The attacks align with our new friend Mr. Man. Some believers that subscribe to this theory have pointed out that perhaps this dogman is carrying out the order of someone else. Combined with the obvious look of aggression, one thing is for sure. Whatever the apparent dogman is looking at is in big trouble. But once again we arrive at a decision that isn't ours to make. Is this photo clear proof that dogman really does roam the remote woods of North America? Is this photo a fake that has captured the hopes and dreams of believers and in some cases, even skeptics? The conclusion rests in your hands. Before we go into our next sighting, there is a question that has been raised within our Barely Afraid family. That question being, who would win out of a fight between our friend Mr. Big and our other friend Mr. Man? As we discussed previously, there is the belief that Bigfoot and dogman are natural enemies. Who do you have coming out on top of this battle? Would it be Bigfoot, the spiritual guardian of nature and good? Or would it be dogman, the natural pursuer of chaos and evil? Comment down below whether you're Team Foot or Team Man. Arriving in the fading hours of the daytime, we land in a forested area with a few pictures of what seems to be a dogman taking their daily walk. These two photos began to circulate heavily in mid-2025. Bigfoot believers were the first to bring the sighting to light, but upon a more thorough exploration of the features belonging to this being, they decided this was not our usual furry friend, but perhaps his natural enemy, the dogman. Looking closely at both of the photos, you can clearly see what appears to be a canine-like creature seemingly walking on two legs. While we weren't able to find much as to the origin of these pictures, perhaps it's safe to say this was captured by someone who had been previously stalked or bothered by this hairy figure. In this picture, it seems that there is a small shed or even a small cabin off to the side. Zooming in, you can see broad shoulders, and even what appears to be perked ears and a short snout. What makes some people hesitant to believe this is a 100% real sighting is the arm in this frame. They claim it's too short to belong to an actual dogman. Some also claim that this dogman, while appearing quite fit and stocky in this photo, also appears to be smaller and less imposing in this frame. To combat this, certain believers have pointed out that perhaps there was two different dogmen, but also at the point that the natural lighting where the dogman is could definitely play a part in how the dogman is perceived, even though for us all we see is the blue tone. They also point out that in the frame that possesses a small structure, the dogman seems to almost reach the top of the roof. Most dogmen are reported to be between 6 to 9 feet tall with long arms, a broad chest, and clawed hands. Basically the equivalent mixture of a man and a dog, hence the name dogman of course. While there's no way to know for sure, the creature in these photos definitely matches the description and requirements, but that judgment isn't ours to make. Instead, we let you take the reins. Is this a dogman that has decided to take a leisure stroll through someone's property? Or is this someone taking a stroll on their own property dressed as a dogman? The choice rests on your shoulders. Creeping in through the silence of the night, we are ushered into nature where a woman named Dee has begun to do some late-night exploring in the woods near her home. It is worth mentioning that this woman usually goes out exploring and searching for cryptids or spooky things that go bump in the night. However, it was this night that she realized she was definitely not alone. At first, she seems to be content examining her vehicle for apparent scratches and marks. With no apparent threats in the area, she allows herself to surrender for the night as she begins to head back to her house. As she turns to walk away, she begins to turn off her camera, but before shutting it down, she notices eye shine out in the darkness, out of the corner of her eye.
What happened? I just saw eye shine. It's got ears. Ears, dude. Ha! Ha! My door's about to see its arm. Dude? That is not... Hi!
At first glance, it seems that there is nothing there, but upon shining a secondary light into the pitch black, she learns that there is in fact something hiding just out of sight. And worst of all, it's standing there, smiling at her. She lets out a few feeble attempts at communication with the supposed cryptid, but the being doesn't move. After a few more moments of this seemingly awkward standoff, the being begins to fade almost as if it's disappearing right before our very eyes. Many believers point out that if you focus real hard you can see slight movement from the dark figure, while the skeptics of the world have claimed that's just our brains seeing what we want to see. Adding on to the skeptics' claims of hoax, there is one piece of evidence that seems to have put our cryptid believers in a bind, that key piece of evidence being the eyeshine. Where did it go? Throughout the whole interaction, you never see the eyeshine that she claimed to have noticed earlier. No eyeshine caused a big hole in her story, but it was what she said later that quite possibly may have saved it. Her words echo through the night even now. I finally caught a dogman close to me, cloaking. The key word here being cloaking. If we go back to our point earlier about how the being seemed to disappear before our eyes, this explains her statement. Dogman and other cryptids like our big friend Mr. Big are theorized to have the ability to cloak themselves into their surroundings to avoid being seen. This opened up all kinds of conversations and theories as to whether or not this sighting is legit. With believers saying the dogman was cloaking, and that's why there was no eyeshine, and skeptics saying there should have at least been eyeshine in the beginning when the being was fully visible, it's hard to give the nod to either team. Alas, it was never our job to assign you to either side. That is a decision you have to make on your own. Is this a clever hoax dreamt up by someone who only wishes she could have a real-life encounter with this scary cryptid? Is this a dogman that wanted to show this woman he could go out into the woods and look for her too? You be the judge. Before going into the next sighting, we'd like to remind everyone that if you have any cryptid sightings, we'd love to hear and see them. Feel free to send them in at bearlyafraid@gmail.com. Also check out our brand new store and website. Find out why Bigfoot is always blurry, and pick up a new shirt from our new I Believe collection. Every view, like, and purchase helps the channel and allows us to keep bringing you the best cryptid sightings out there. Thank you again for being a part of our Barely Afraid family. Swooping in from above, we emerge with one of the most controversial Dogman pictures of all time. Originally posted a few years ago, this supposed Dogman photo lit the fire of speculation, even pitting believers against other believers. The image is said to have been captured on someone's trail cam. Most cryptid sightings nowadays seem to be captured when nobody is around, so this isn't too surprising. Many people saw this photo as indisputable proof of the hairy cryptid's existence, while others claimed that it was an obvious product of AI. Looking more closely at the photo, this does appear to be an upright standing wolf or dog-like creature that seems to be making its way through an open field or meadow. You can see a long snout, matted fur, and the features of a canine in the facial area. Looking down, you can see a pair of bent hind legs that seem to allow the figure to stand on two legs as well as get back down on all fours. However, instead of helping the picture's plea of authenticity, it was the combination of all these features that pointed to hoax rather than a creditable sighting. In the debacle of the debate between believers, unconvinced believers, and skeptics, the believers were the first to strike a match. To them, the fact that a dog-like creature is standing on two legs is more than enough proof, but of course they don't stop there. Instead, they go on to point out the unusual body proportions of the supposed figure, highlighting the shoulder width, the elongated torso, and the apparent limb structure of the beast. Capitalizing on this argument, they point out that a costume would most likely be exactly the same on either side with a more consistent ratio of body limbs and fur. Looking to the fur of the apparent dogman, they point out the inconsistency. Zooming in, you can see how certain parts of the fur have less coverage while others seem to be growing more abundantly. One believer suggests that this could be due to the aggressive nature of dogmen. While other cryptids are believed to be more elusive and passive, dogmen are known to be rather aggressive, always choosing to fight instead of letting bygones be bygones. It seems rather likely that any dogman might have a few bumps and bruises from a lifestyle of choosing the fight. Looking past the dogman, believers focus on the background and claim it's too consistent to be the work of AI. But perhaps the most critical piece of evidence for the photo's authenticity is a point of debate that the skeptics usually hold high. That point being just how blurry the picture is. If it was AI, wouldn't it be more clear than this blurry pixelated version we see now? Moving on to the unconvinced believers, who have unexpectedly joined the skeptics, they start their rebuttal with the fact that nobody has ever come forward to claim this photo as their own. I mean, if someone had proof of a famous cryptid's existence, wouldn't they want the recognition? We here at Barely Afraid searched for the original post, but alas failed to find the person whose trail cam this was captured on. Moving on to the posture, which was a point of the believers, they illuminate the fact that many animals in the woods are able to hold upright standing positions for short periods of time, especially black bears, and it's not uncommon for them to appear human-like when they are seen from certain angles. However, it was one of the features we mentioned earlier that seemed to be the skeptic's strongest argument, that being the hind legs of the creature. If you zoom in to the right leg of the figure, it appears that you can see what appears to be the bottom of the leg of a costume, similar to how blue jeans end at the bottom. Traveling up the back, there also seems to be a dark line that could be a zipper. Looking at the sighting as a whole, they also attack the believers' claim that the background is consistent, but shockingly, it's by agreeing. Skeptics agree the background seems to be legit, but it's the dogman that is out of place. Some even claim that they are a poorly done overlay rather than an actual photo. For the unconvinced believers, there is just too much up in the air with this sighting, leaving them to unfortunately side with Team Skeptic this time. However, whether you want to join Team Believer or Team Skeptic is up to you. Is this sighting indisputable proof of the dogman's existence, or is it just another AI hoax? Only you can be the judge. Flying in, we adjust ourselves slowly to once again find our way into the darkness of the night. Even at first glance, you can clearly see that whoever is filming behind the camera is definitely not alone. This video began to gain traction in the early half of 2025 when posted by a TikTok account called Acadia After Dark. In the description, it reads, "Terrifying video shows dogman or other unidentified creature watching from the tree line." Of course, there are many ways to explain this sighting. Up first to take a swing with the skeptics of the world by nonchalantly shrugging this off as a bobcat, or even a black bear that has seemed to take an interest in our cameraman. However, there are others that aren't so quick to chalk this up as an everyday animal sighting. But that doesn't mean they officially support our dogman theory either. Instead, they go toward a different legend altogether. One that has been closely related to dogman in the past, and even confused as them as well. That of course being The skinwalkers. If you don't know what a skinwalker is, here's a brief description. A skinwalker is a figure from Navajo Nation folklore, believed to be a human who has used forbidden practices to take on the form of animals. Unlike cryptids, it is not a creature of nature but a malevolent shapeshifter, often associated with deception, mimicry, and psychological terror. Skinwalkers are often confused with dogmen because both are described as tall, canine-shaped figures seen at night, sometimes moving unnaturally or standing upright. In low light, fear and distance can blur details, causing witnesses to interpret a shape-shifting figure from folklore as a physical wolf-like creature, or in other words, a dogman. After a few talks, we here at Barely Afraid are divided as to what this might be. But once again, it's not for any of us to decide. Instead, we call upon you once again to let us know what you think. Could this be nothing more than a wild animal out for some nighttime fresh air? Is this something more spiritual, something that suggests the knowledge of Native American legend? Or is this an actual dogman that has decided to see who his next-door neighbors are? Comment down below, and let your decision be the final one. If you enjoyed tonight's countdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Have a creepy clip or ghost encounter of your own? Drop it in the comments or send it to our email that just might appear in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your lights on tonight. You never know what might be standing in the dark.